Paris, 1925. The Eiffel Tower, a massive iron landmark left over from the 1889 World's Fair, was never meant to be permanent. At the time, it was seen by many as an eyesore, costly to maintain and possibly nearing the end of its life. And for one clever con man, that public sentiment was the perfect opening. Enter Victor Lustig, a smooth-talking Austrian-born swindler who had already made a career out of charm and deception. Lustig wasn't just a petty crook. He thought on a grand scale. His scams were elaborate productions complete with props, forged documents, and an uncanny ability to read human weakness. That spring, Lustig spotted a small news article mentioning the tower's expensive upkeep. To most, it was just a piece of trivia. To Lustig, it was an invitation. He cooked up a scheme to sell the Eiffel Tower for scrap metal. Posing as a French government official, Lustig sent formal invitations to 5 of the biggest scrap dealers in Paris. The letters, printed on official-looking stationery, claimed the government had decided to dismantle the Eiffel Tower and discreetly sell it to avoid public backlash. The dealers were told to meet him at the luxurious Hôtel de Crillon for a confidential presentation. Lustig played his role perfectly. He wore tailored suits, spoke with authority, and even arranged a chauffeured car to take the dealers to a private tour of the tower. He told them maintenance costs had become unbearable and that the sale had to be handled in secrecy to prevent public outrage. One dealer, André Poisson, was particularly eager. A newcomer to the scrap industry, Poisson was desperate to prove himself. Lustig saw his ambition and decided he was the perfect mark. Behind closed doors, Lustig hinted that his position allowed him to approve the winning bid. But such discretion required a personal consideration. In other words, a bribe. Poisson paid up, both the bribe and the purchase price, and Lustig vanished to Austria before the scam was discovered. By the time Poisson realized he'd bought nothing at all, Lustig was untouchable. And remarkably, Poisson was too embarrassed to go to the police. Here's where it gets unbelievable. A month later, Lustig came back to Paris and tried the exact same scam again. This time, he lined up a new set of scrap dealers, ran the same official-looking letters, the same hotel meeting, the same tour. But just before the deal closed, one dealer grew suspicious and contacted the police. Lustig fled to the United States before he could be arrested. Over there, he didn't slow down. Lustig went on to pull dozens of other scams, including printing counterfeit money, so convincing it rattled the US Treasury. But the Eiffel Tower con remained his masterpiece, a bold blend of psychology, timing, and showmanship. Stories like this show how history isn't just shaped by kings and generals. Sometimes it's rewritten by con artists. If you're hooked on these stranger-than-fiction tales, stick around until the end and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next one. Now let's pause for a second. The wildest part of Lustig's scam isn't that he sold the Eiffel Tower. It's that he did it twice. Think about that. In the modern world, this would be like someone selling the Statue of Liberty, then coming back a month later to do it again. What makes it possible is the same thing that fuels scams today: trust wrapped in authority. Lustig understood that if you look and sound like you belong, most people won't question you, especially if they think you can give them something valuable. It's the same reason phishing emails work when they look like they're from your bank, or why fake executives trick employees into wiring money. In the end, Lustig's luck ran out. In 1935, he was arrested in the US for counterfeiting and sentenced to 20 years in Alcatraz. Even there, he maintained his charm. When he died of pneumonia in 1947, prison guards reportedly found a small note in his possessions. It read, "Victor Lustig, the man who sold the Eiffel Tower." And in a way, that's how he wanted to be remembered. Not as a common criminal, but as the artist behind one of the most audacious cons in history.